Walace. Well, let me give y'all a round of applause first.
Yay.
For y'all.
Thank you.
And now we introducing Council President Andre Walace, running for Mayor of Mount Vernon. We've had some of the other candidates come on. We're not going to speak about. We're going to make. I want the show mostly not to really speak too much about the other candidates, other than me saying you've seen Sean Patterson, Howard. She's been on. Clyde Isley canceled on us, and Mayor Thomas just never accepted our invitation. And we even had Mayor Davis, who's not on the ballot no more. We even had him on. So now the last of the candidates we're bringing to you is the Council President, Andre Walace.
Thank you. And I see you have two lovely ladies here running for city council, and I'm excited to be running with, because I know
lovely, smart ladies, Andre.
Yes. I didn't finish. You cut me off. I was saying, I'm running with them because I know what they bring to the table. The expertise, and the experience, and being that I'm giving up my seat, I want to make sure that there's somebody responsible in that seat and to replace me in that seat. And, there's 2 seats up, and I think these 2 ladies are phenomenal. I think that they cover a lot of things including, long history of working in government. And also we have an attorney, which brings a flair. And this way we don't have to have these arguments about, legislation and how it's worded and how it should be worded and stuff. We could always turn around and be like, well, ask the attorney at the table, So this is great, and I know they are going to do the city of Mount Vernon well, or I wouldn't have asked them to be on the team, because it's important that we have great people in government that know what they're doing, and like I always say, that is about service before self, and that's what it always has to be, and these two ladies bring that, and I know without a doubt that they're going to be perfect for the city council. And you need somebody to work with when you're in the mayor's seat that know what they're doing on the council to put that legislation together and to vet what the what the mayor's doing. It's a team. It's teamwork. Along with the mayor and the council.
So I know you're a friend of the show in disclosure, often a co-host, but we would not let you come on during the hope until after the primary.
Yeah,
so we'd be an advantage. So we'd be an advantage.
But I used to come on every week. They kicked me off. They were like,
even though you're a friend of the show, we're about to get you though. First question that everybody wants to know: what's going on with Andre Walace running on the Republican line? Is Andre Walace a Republican? I'd like for you to speak to that, because there's been a lot on social media, and a lot of your candidates, opponents, have been putting out trying to associate you with the party of Trump. And we do not need that in our government right now, and I would want to start off right there.
First of all, I'm not even sure if those other candidates voted for Trump or not. I know I didn't. So maybe we should start questioning them, since they seem to know so much about Trump. Listen, I've been a Democrat my whole entire life. My family is Democrat.
So you've never been a registered Republican?
Absolutely not. I was born and raised a Democrat. My parents were Democrats when they came to this country. They worked in the hospital, 1199, union workers. And also, we've always had a household of Democrats. I got 5 brothers. They're all Democrats. We don't even understand what a Republican does. But the bottom line is, whenever you don't have anything on somebody, you have to make up things, and the silliest things. But, the Republicans don't have enough people to even win a race in Mount Vernon. They have less than 2,000 registered Republicans versus about 34,000 Democrats. So what they're doing is they're just cross-endorsing. A lot of other candidates always go out for different lines to run on different lines. Even former Mayor Davis ran on a different line before.
The conservative line or something.
Conservative
party.
So
I don't remember.
Mayor Thomas had the line and the endorsement the last time.
The Republican, the Democrat, and the
independent line. Yeah. So all of this stuff is nonsense. Clyde Isley went to court to fight for the Republican line. I didn't fight for a Republican line. They called me up.
So let me, and we don't want to beat up the other candidate, but the bottom line is, with the Republican Party now being the party of Trump, let's just say, and all the problems that we're having with the Republican Party, why would you even want to be associated with the Republican Party? Because these are the questions people want to know.
You know
Because
what it
they
is?
hear the word Republican and you.
It's not about being associated with Republicans of the Trump party or this and that. I disagree with everything Trump does. You know, I don't even know how I do know how he got there, because people decided to stay on the sidelines and not vote. That's why it's important that everybody comes out and votes in this election, you know, so we don't end up with problems like this. But when I look at it, it's Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservative, working family, and all. Nobody has a monopoly on great ideas. Okay, everybody has great ideas, and we have to stop looking at who's Republican, Democrat, this, that, and start looking at people, you know, for who they are. And another thing too is the Republicans wanted to endorse someone and stuff because they have the same concerns we have as Democrats. They want to see our sewers fixed. They want to see the sidewalks fixed. They want to see the potholes filled. They want to see the city running. They want their garbage picked up. Those are the things. But if, you know, it's very simple for people to realize what's going on in the propaganda. All you have to do is call the Board of Elections and ask them to pull my card, and you'll see I've been a registered Democrat since like 1983 or 82 or somewhere around there. Never been a Republican, so I don't understand what they're making a whole big thing about.
I just want, for history's sake, this county has been full of Republicans who have actually crossed over to the Democrat line just to win. They didn't have a problem with our former district attorney, Janet DeFiore, who was a Republican, so she could win.
Absolutely.
And the mayor of Yonkers was history as a Republican who ran under the Democrats just so, you know, because you can't win under the Republican line. So
and our city councilwoman, Janice Duarte, was a Republican, and she switched over to run. You know, and she's standing there with the rest of the party. I don't see anybody talking about her. I was never a Republican, never will be a Republican. The only thing a Republican can do for me is point out where the Democrats are. That's about it.
But
you have to work with everybody, though.
Do you think it's a good example of bipartisan support? And imagine how much we could do. Even on a federal level, we could have averted a government shutdown. We could have got budgets passed on time if we had more bipartisan support. That's merely what it is, just support.
Absolutely. But you were going to say something, Mayor?
Black people were Republicans until fairly recently.
And that's true. And remember, Abraham Lincoln was the Republicans was the party that freed
Democrats
black people.
Yes.
Democrats were take the place of what the Republicans are doing during that time of I think FDR. I think black people start to switch.
Absolutely.
Over after that, but before that, black people were Republicans.
Right.
So I wanted to address that because that was a big deal. One of your opponents actually put that out that you were running on a Republican line. I talked to the Republican chairperson because I wanted to get to the bottom of the story. Who could speak better to it than the Republican chairperson? And he said that several of the candidates interviewed, and you were the one that all the district leaders that he had voted for more. And he also said there's been a history of the Democrats in this city running on being endorsed by other party lines, the Conservative Party, the Independence Party.
Absolutely.
Former Senator Hessel Ruth Thompson was on the Working Family Party in the last election, and our controller was on she might have been the Conservative Party in the last election for mayor. So it's not a unknown thing in politics now to not just run on your party, but to try to lock up all the other lines.
You know what it reminds me of, because everybody interviewed for the line, right? You know what it reminds me of? The little kid on that's waiting to be picked to play on the basketball team, and when they don't pick him, they were like, I didn't want to play anyway. That's what this is, because, you know, I spoke to one of the candidates who interviewed for the line, and that person, I'm not going to make the name out, but that person was like, oh, no, I just went over there just to have a conversation
Was
with
it
them.
male or female?
It was a female. But but she said, but if I wanted the line, I would have got the line. And I remember saying, well, you didn't. You know, so it's not, now they're like, I really didn't want it, you know. So it's, and another thing, it's about locking up the November thing, because this way nobody will run against us, you know, as Democrats. So it's a good thing. So I'm not going to be concerned about what other people are saying. And if that's the best that they could come up with, that tells you something. That means there's nothing in my closet that they can find, or else they would have found it.
One of the other knocks about you that a lot of people have seen on the media, they see the mayor and they see you, and a couple of board of estimate meetings, they saw what looked like just nothing being done for the city, but pointing the fingers and blame game, and you're this one and you're that one, and they contribute you as part of the problem. Can you tell our audience, what have you done as a council person to better Mount Vernon? Whether it's legislation, things that you've done as council.
Well, I've done a lot of legislation, you know, but I do want to address the Board of Estimates meetings. With the Board of Estimates meeting, yes, it looks like we are maybe going into an argument or a fight or whatever, but I don't fight, first of all, the mayor. I defend. And if you notice, it's always the mayor's attack, and I defend it because I have to protect the people. That is my job to, as a legislator and as part of the council, to, you know, be one of the oversight for the mayor to make sure things are right and to do legislation. And if you notice, he sits there and he stages these things with his cameras, and he comes in and he tries to poke the buttons and tries to set us up and set up the controller. And it's always something with that. It's not just coming in and sitting down. His latest stunt, remember, it was he sat there at the Board of Estimates meeting by himself, and then was broadcasting that nobody's showing up. Well, nobody showed up because nobody knew about it. This is the kind of stunt he plays, you know. Obviously, if you're going to have a meeting, at least tell the clerk. The clerk should show up. Somebody's got to keep the record. And, you know, I'm watching him on Facebook because somebody else showed it to me and said, hey, aren't you supposed to be in the meeting right now with the mayor? And I was like, what meeting, you know? And he's like, well, look, he's sitting there, and I'm watching him talking on Facebook like, look, here I am in a meeting, and the controller and the council president won't show up. Well, we didn't know anything about it. So it's all games, you know. What moving forward, you know, I really don't want to talk about him or worry about him or think about him. You know, I want to focus on how we get our city moving forward, how we make sure that everybody's garbage is picked up, how we continue to fill potholes, how we start to work on our economic development of the city, how we do responsible building in the community, how we focus on creating jobs and building an office of economic development in City Hall itself. Those are the things I want to focus on. And, you know, it's the same thing I said at some of the debates. I'm not interested in who did what and who did what to who. You know, I want to start to talk about our platform. I want to start to talk about what we can do and what we have been doing. You know, legislation, yes, I passed parking legislation. I just left one of the other radio stations, and we were talking about that legislation as well.
We give them a shout out, Future FM. We give them a shout out. We ain't got no competition. It's all respect to everybody, you know. Yeah. But yeah, we speak about I spoke about a lot of different things with that. But the main thing I was talking about was creating jobs that we need and creating economic development to relieve the taxpayers, you know, and take the burden off of the homeowners. Those are the things we have to do. I wonder, Lorraine Lopez could not be here today, but she is listening. And as our resident Republican, she wanted to say, not all Republicans are like the Trump Republicans. If there are 200 plus Republicans in Mount Vernon, then they are also part of the city and should be counted as well.
Right.
they should be included in a city like Mount Vernon where their only option is to vote for a Democrat and choose their best candidate. Don't forget the majority of the other candidates vying for the seat try for the endorsement.
Hold on a second. What? Lorraine's a Republican? I didn't hear anything else. She's a Republican?
Yeah. She said she's switching, but she's been our resident Republican since she's been on the show.
But
she
know
said she's not a Trump Republican. She was a supporter of Astorino, but she's not a Trump Republican, she said.
You know, and it reminds me, you know, it seems like you have, and this is the same thing that goes on through life. You know, one black guy commit a crime and all black people are criminals. You know, or all Hispanic people carry knives. Or all, it goes down the list of stereotyping. You know, boy, let me just say it this way. It's very simple, okay? Just like she said, not all Republicans are bad. Not all Republicans are Trump people. You know, they're great people like they're not all Democrats are great Democrats. So we have to look at those things and we have to find out, you know, and look at our commonality rather than what separates us. And that's something that separates us. If we can start to focus with all the parties and get the best ideas of all the parties, put them on the table, work it out together, we'll have a better city. We'll have a better country, you know? And that's what we need to focus on. Not who's who, but what can each of us do together.
I'm answering some questions as we go along. So
And tell Lorraine I miss her, like cook food, and I'll be seeing her soon.
and she can hear you. Now you've been asked this question, and then Bob had a question. You've been asked this question at Centennial Church. I've never heard this question asked in the last 3 elections, though. But if you do not win the Democratic primary, will you run under the Republican line against the Democratic?
No, not at all.
Well,
when I answered at Centennial, what I said was I will appear on that Republican line,
right?
But I'm not going to run on the line because I'm still at the end of the day a Democrat. Let's see what happens. Okay.
And again, history. We've dealt with the history, and I just want to cut to the chase.
And I wanted to make
Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson lost the primary. And she ran on the Working Family, and Mayor Davis lost the primary previously, and he ran on the Conservative Party. So this is the history of I mean, this is how politics are. Someone asked for the former mayor to talk about. Can you explain the benefit of seeking cross endorsements? Can you explain the benefit?
To lock up the line. That's basically what you're trying to do, keep people from running on the
so
line.
that when you win the primary, nobody else can run against you because you have all the other lines.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why you do it.
The race, I win. When I win on the 25th, the race is over because there's nobody to run on the other lines because I occupy the other line. So this way, I could assure that this win for the 3 of us, okay,
wait. You still have
a
valid write-in campaign coming against you. You can't count that out.
Well, I'm sure when it comes to the general election, there'll be a whole bunch of people writing it. You know, I heard Pugsy P might be writing it also.
Yeah, I actually heard that too.
You know,
Pugsy P writing his own name.
Yeah, so anybody could become a write-in campaign, person. All you have to do is go in there and write your name in. It's that simple. So you could say, hey, I was in the last election. Listen, I didn't run in the last election a year and a half ago, whenever it was, when the controller and the 3 candidates run, but I got 28 votes, and I was like, hey, I wasn't on it, and people said, hey, I didn't see your name on the ballot, Andre, so I wrote it in. I was like, well, I wasn't there because I wasn't running. It's not my time, but I still got about 28 votes, so anybody could write anybody's name in.
Right, because somewhere in California, there was a campaign and they got D's nuts on the ballot.
And it did well. It, I mean,
These
it had a lot.
These nuts was written in on the ballot.
Are you serious?
No, it was
No,
national
yeah.
news.
Wow.
It was about 3-4 years ago.
And he
People
got,
are crazy.
he got
These
a,
nuts was written in the ballot, and they got a sizable amount of votes.
yeah, very big sizable amount of votes.
So you can write any. You can
Only
write
in America,
anything.
only
You
in
can write
America.
anything and anybody in. So
Absolutely.
technically.
Absolutely.
So I want you to speak more. We got back off of it. Legislation that you have passed. What if any legislation have you passed?
Well, basically, I don't have the list with me, but I've introduced at least 15 pieces of legislation, or probably more than that. But I know what has gotten passed. We got a couple of resolutions passed, one for ICE and one for immigration for driver's license, because the governor's pushing that one too. I think it's a good idea.
Now explain what that is so people don't know.
That immigrants should be able to have a driver's license, and I've always believed that since Barack Obama was trying to push the same thing, because this allows them to get car insurance. So if they hit you, they don't have to speed off, and somebody can pay for you, because there's a lot of people that get seriously injured. One of my friends who was in Florida, it happened to him. He was going on a pro-am tour as a golfer. Okay, he's back home now here in Mount Vernon, and it's because he was in a car accident, and the person that hit him took off, and when they caught him, he had no insurance anyway because it was an immigrant. So what you want to do is give them license anyway, so this way we can document them. They're driving anyway. We might as well charge them for insurance and charge them for liability and everything else, and let them also contribute to the insurance pool of accidents. I'm telling you, people don't realize it until they get hit or in an accident with someone that's undocumented that don't have a driver's license or something, and then you realize that you are hurt, injured, and other things has happened, and you can't do anything about it. You can't collect, you can't claim, you can't do anything, and your life is turned upside down.
What other
Plus,
legislation?
we know
would you
who's
say?
there.
Right. What other legislation would you say you've done?
Well, I did overnight parking to keep vehicles off the street. I've proposed it for the construction equipment to get off the street as well, and I've done made sure that we put our logos on the side of the vehicles, because I'm tired of them leaving the city. To make sure that we know where those vehicles are. I would like to also track those vehicles, because a lot of people are leaving the city, burning up the gas and things like that. Did alternate side parking, changing the times from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock to give people relief so they don't have to get tickets on that. Wow, there's just a bunch of them.
Now let me ask you,
list.
I've heard people say that by pushing it back from 8 to 9, the city would lose much needed income that they get from the tickets that they give out from that hour.
Yeah, but
what do you say as far as that's concerned?
That's double taxation. We are already overtaxed. The community and the homeowners are already paying too much taxes, and the purpose of people moving their cars is not to give them tickets. The purpose of them moving the car is for you to clean the street. So if you give them enough time to move their car, they can clean the street. And I see a lot of people jockeying in the morning time. They come out of their house at 7:30 in the morning to find another space, move their car finally, run back in the house to come back out their house at 8:30, 8:45 to go to work to be there at 9. So just change it. It's called quality of life issues. We need to start focus on more of those things as well. I've also put in legislation that we didn't get through with different things of trying to make sure that people are responsible for the night club security as well. I don't have a list of it right now, but I could go down. There's lots of stuff. And there's stuff that I proposed that didn't pass.
Now, one of the things Dr. Bob was talking to the city council candidates about, but you were involved and you could was the residency requirement matter. I know there was a problem with certain appointed commissioners living in Jersey and other places, taking the car home,
Right.
crashing the car and stuff like that. And
Right.
so where do we stand as far as the residence residency requirement in the charter, and should that be changed?
Well, yes, the residency requirement, we can adjust it and all if you can't find the talent here. But it's a problem with how this administration has been doing it, because there is more than enough talent here, okay? And it was just not being utilized. He brags about, oh, we went to court and we won and blah blah blah. But the first judge just kicked it back to us and said, I forgot what he said, but it's like
the charter was clear. Basically, the charter's clear, and
you know, unambiguous.
You don't need to come here to fight for. I don't have to rule on something that the charter already says.
Exactly, and he's running off of that. But the way the legal team filed it, they just filed it the wrong way. It should have been an Article 78. I said that from the get-go. We used the wrong attorneys. I said that from the get-go. We should have been taking it from
sounds like having an attorney in the city council might be a
good idea,
benefit.
right?
Thank you, because then I would have a second opinion from a legal aspect,
legal mind,
who would
exactly.
say yes, but when we talk about that residency, and what was pissing me off was all of the people that live in Saddlebrook, New Jersey, and as far as the Poconos, it was ridiculous, because I tell you right now, I wanted those people who are commissioners and work for the city that's getting the money to be working here, to live here, so they can see the same potholes and blow out their car tire too, trip over the same sidewalks I'm tripping over, complain and yell and scream about the trees that's not getting trimmed in front of their house. See, when you have people that live here that's doing that, it's a different result. But when you just say, I'm here from 9 to 5 and I'm out in a minute, I'm out after that and I'm gone. Another thing is they're spending their money outside of the community, and we need them to spend that money in the community. I can tell you this much, when elected, I'm going to be appointing people that live in Mount Vernon. I'm going to be focusing on people that live in Mount Vernon, and those who we have to gather from outside, we will make that recommendation to move to Mount Vernon if you want this major position, and it should be done that way.
You talked about spending money outside of the community. One of the problems that I've been stating since 2014, I can't spend any of my recreational dollars in Mount Vernon. If I want to go to the movies, I got to go to New Rochelle, Yonkers, or the Bronx.
Right.
Want to go bowling, I got to go somewhere else. We had 4 movie theaters. We had all these things in Mount Vernon before. There's a lot of things that you can't. Most of the candidates have had their fundraisers in New Rochelle or other places, because there's those kind of places in Mount Vernon.
Right.
Well, that wasn't the only reason.
Huh?
That wasn't the only reason.
I'm sure, but what can you do? I've heard you speak about bringing more businesses and certain kinds of businesses. What would your plan be to bring more non-99-cent stores, hair salons, and barbershops to Mount Vernon?
Yeah, at one point I was trying to put a moratorium on barbershops, hair salons, and Chinese restaurant. We don't need 5 of them on the same block. It's just ridiculous. But we need to work on bringing in a hotel. We need to get some responsible development here. We can do a movie theater within a project. It just has to be the right project, I had the same goals, and I've seen the same visions and from past administrations. So I look at what's the best thing for the city. I've saw some of Mayor Davis's renderings and different things that I had in mind to bring a hotel. I would like to see the tracks over there covered and development over there by the train station and over. These things need to happen. Mount Vernon can have 2 hotels. Hotels is a great thing to have, because you're going to get about 18.3% tax or even more or whatever, and you're going to bring people here that's going to spend money and leave. It's not going to add extra burden to our school system or anything else. It's just income. So we need to look at that, and it creates jobs. So we always need to look at development that's going to not just create jobs when you're building the building, but is going to create jobs after you built the building, or after you built the project, or after you built the hotel. So all of these things can happen, and it can happen quick. It's just sometimes people are building things or working on things, and then their administration is taken out, so that project comes to a halt, and then the next thing, look at Memorial Field. That's why it's been sitting there for 10 years.
Let me ask you another question. I'm currently the current mayor is consistently telling us that crime is down since he took place. I have FBI stats. I'm just going to say this because I have a story coming out this week. I have FBI stats that from Mayor Davis last year.
Too.
From Mayor Davis last year, right, to the current mayor's first year, homicides went up 450%. That's I have the FBI's crime stats.
Absolutely.
While the mayor, and again, this is not about him. This is about what you're going to do. While the mayor was at Centennial recently, saying that the very word that crime was down and homicides were down, someone was being shot blocks away while the thing was going on. And yes, maybe we have less shootings this year. We just had 2 stabbing deaths.
No, we
this
had
year.
we had a shooting again the day after that.
Right. But I think that person lived. They got shot 8 times and lived. I don't know how.
Yeah, but they're still getting shot.
But and there's a story of sexual assault within the department, the police department. What would you do on day one to clean up our police department and get us on the right direction as far as that is concerned?
Well, you covered my event and my press conference in front of the police station. We have a lot of great officers. We just have poor leadership in the police station and a poor leadership in the administration. The mayor sits over the police. He makes sure it's done. And just think about it. We've gone through about 5 commissioners since he came. And
2 commissioners and 3 acting commissioners. We only had 2 commissioners.
Okay,
we didn't have a commissioner from Robert Kelly to Sean Harris. We never had a commissioner. We had acting commissioners.
No,
I just want to be clear. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, 5 commissioners I know. It's I don't know how it's going, but 5 commissioners in 3 years is a little ridiculous. And just remember, that's not even counting the one that was there when you came in and you were replaced. So you could say 6 people was in that slot during that administration time. And I think he had one good choice with a couple, maybe even a couple, but Bob Kelly was a good choice. Remember, he took this man around. This is the man that he took to church and said that he has as much trust in him as he has in God, which is a little strange to me. And then fired him and said he was falsifying documents. So it's a little bit ridiculous. But what would I do is I'm going to make sure that I go in there, do a really good evaluation of the police station, hire the proper commissioner to clean it up. I'm not a micromanager when it comes to that, but believe me, I know how to put the right people in the right places to make sure that it's run professionally.
The current mayor said he wouldn't hire a pizza man to run the water to be for a water commissioner, but he hired a garbage man as a police commissioner. Are you going to be hiring any unqualified people in any of these people?
Listen, I will not. And I made it clear. I said it a million times because the garbage man is still in the police station. Make no doubt about it. It was the garbage man who made sure that Sean Harris was fired after the garbage man was fired. Everybody who fires the garbage man gets fired. So the garbage man's still there. We're going to weed that out and weed out all the other bad apples, and it's a few, and especially in the top brass, and we need to straighten that out. But I'm sure the right commissioner and all of the right evaluations will straighten that out. And there's going to be some things we have to really talk about and address, because there's a lot of things that happen and continue to happen in the police station. And even with the police that watched and guarded the mayor's criminal crew, chopping down the bubble in the middle of the night. Police officers are holding Kayla back and holding others back, and for the police officers to deal with illegal shutdowns of OK Freddy and Cupcake Cutie and all of these other things, they're assisting in it. And let me tell you something, if you are not doing anything about it, you're part of the problem. If you're not doing anything about the problem, you're part of the problem because you took an oath to make sure that you defend and take care of what needs to be done. And you're going against your oath.
I want to get to the next. I know Bob has a question, and you're running out of time. So,
Okay. So it's been argued in some of the discussions that I've had that one of the barriers to bringing in top caliber talent to serve in executive positions in Mount Vernon is that the pay structure is insufficient. And for example, police commissioner, many people that I've spoken to have proposed that if we're going to get a top tier police commissioner, that we're going to have to increase some of the pay raises for those positions. I'm curious to know what your thought about that. Would you give consideration to asking the council to increase pay for some of these especially vital positions? You know, what do you think?
Well, the police commissioner, when we had sat down and recommend what it was supposed to get about 170,000, 175,000. They're making 150 now.
which is more than the mayor.
Yeah, well, the top police officer is supposed to make, the commissioner is supposed to make more than the mayor, because that is anyway, what we need to do is we need to start to work on how we can, attract talent and how we can find ways to pay for these things. But a lot of people say, I want this, I want that, like the mayor may say, I want this, give me salaries for all these people. And he did that in his last budget. And it reflected that. But the problem was the budget when he was finished was close to 18%, a little more than 18% with the raises that he put in there, which was millions of dollars in raises.
I just want to say one thing. That he also, I think what would be fiscally responsible, instead of asking for $100,000 for raises, to say that these positions would get X amount of raise. He just wanted $100,000 for raises.
It was
he didn't say who. 200,000, whatever. He didn't say who the raises was going to.
Yeah.
Was one person getting all of that? Was it being split up in these 10 positions? What he never itemized what, and I think that
he had it split. He had it split up. Some of them were getting $40,000 raises across the board with a lot of things. So we know that the raises that he was giving, it was more than what the taxpayers could afford. So we need to work within our budget, and there is great talent out there that will come and will do the job because they're willing to serve and they're willing to help their communities. So you can attract top people and not worry about it. Hey, look, you attracted me for $33,000. And I'll tell you this much. This is the most full-time, part-time job I've ever seen in my life. Okay? And I work at least 6 hours a day for the city. I give 6 hours a day because we have to do our time and clock it into the state. And they said the mayor works 7 hours a day and Councilman Walace works 6 hours a day. Look it up. It's straight in Albany. But I give that time because I love this city and I want to see it turn around. That is why I do it. I didn't come here to make $1 million because this is not what we're going to do in public service. I came here to serve, my community and to make my community better for the next generation. That's what I focus on.
Briefly, you have to be real.
I have a problem with just picking out the police commission as the most important commissioner. All of the commissioners are important. Planning, all those people. So I wouldn't single out the police commissioner as being the most highest paid. To me, that makes no sense.
Yeah, it just says that in a charter, though. It says that in a charter, I believe, and we have to revise it because the public officer is supposed to make the most money or something. I know it can't be the mayor.
Let me ask you a different question.
I think the mayor's way underpaid too.
Let me ask you a question. So, I heard at one of the forums or debates or whatever, I try to go to as many of them as possible. You said that you felt that the charter had some loopholes or whatever that have been taken advantage of. What examples of those changes do you think that need to be made, and that you would be held accountable? If you win, you would be held by these same rules.
For instance, I push hard for the Board of Ethics. I push hard for the Board of Ethics to have subpoena power. I was the one who pushed hard to include subpoena power in the CCRB. You know, these are the things that need to happen, because the Board of Ethics came back to us and they are trying to subpoena people. They're trying to get people to come in because they see unethical behavior happening and they need to question commissioners and workers in there. But they are blocked by the mayor, and there's nothing to do, nothing you can do about it. The charter says that we can subpoena as the council other people, but if they don't show up, the consequences is pretty much like nothing. We just changed that. We passed legislation. So if you don't show up now for the subpoena, you could be fined up to $5,000. You know, so we did that to make sure. Every day you don't show up, it's $500 up to $5,000. And they cut back on it because I wanted it up to $10,000. I said $1,000 a day up to 10 days. And it automatically comes out and can be deducted out of your pay based on 30% of it, I believe it was, or something like that. So if you make $100, you're only going to get $70 until that $10,000 is paid off. This is what's going to bring people to justice. This is what's going to get answers. Because if you're not coming to answer questions, it's because you're probably trying to hide something. And, you know, that's a problem. So that legislation has been done. That has been passed. You know, I want to see that the Board of Ethics get subpoena power. That has not passed because the mayor vetoed it. We have three votes for it, and two people, Councilwoman Copeland and Councilwoman Duarte, refused to give them the subpoena power. You know, and I don't understand, why would you stop investigations? You know, like I tell everybody else, I don't have no worries about it. Please, if you have a problem, investigate me. Call whoever you want. I know not the mayor's investigation, because the mayor, if you leave it up to him, he's.
Let me do a follow-up question real quick. So I know, the current mayor was city council, and he was very critical of the former mayor because he sat over that office. Then you actually took his seat in the council, and he doesn't think that you should sit over his office, that his office should be sat over. What things do you think need to be changed? We've had what seems to be a runaway mayor. What things would you like to see changed to prevent that happening again, and that you would be bound by if you were a mayor?
Well, I want to see. For me, I'm not worried about running crazy as mayor or doing any of those kind of things. I want to see every law in the charter and all the charter revision, all the code strengthened to the point that if I would do half of the things he do, the charter would allow the council and the Board of Ethics and everybody to remove me, period. That's it. We don't have to go to court. We don't have to battle it. We don't have to do any of those things. If you are doing these kind of things, if you are found to be squandering money, if you are found to be taking $365,000 out the water department, you should be going directly to jail. Don't try to collect $200. Go straight to jail. Period. Because this is our money.
Let me ask you a question. So, the Attorney General, Eric Snyderman at the time, filed these charges against the mayor. The allegations were made against Eric Snyderman, and so there would not be impede the investigation or bring bad press to the. He hasn't been found guilty of anything. He hasn't been charged with anything, but he stepped down.
That is the problem.
Other people want to know: do you think that the mayor should have stepped down during this situation? That's been the question that several people.
I'll tell you this much,
and I need it brief, real brief.
I would have stepped down to save the city embarrassment.
So
and
in answer to that question, if for some reason somehow you found yourself in a similar situation, you're saying you would step down?
Absolutely. Why would I bring that kind of problems to the cities, to the citizens of Mount Vernon, to the city, to my family, to everybody else? It would have been easy to step down and get out of the limelight and deal with the problem there than to make the embarrassment that we have right now. We're the laughing stock of the state. I've gone places as far as Florida, and people go, "Oh, Mount Vernon. Oh, isn't that the one where your mayor's indicted?" It's embarrassing. step out of the limelight, because the more you stay there, the more people understand that you've been indicted. It's a bad look for the city. I wouldn't stay there, because I wouldn't do that to the people.
For lack of time, I'm wrapping things up. Anything I didn't ask you, anything you want people to know, and how can people reach you on social media, website, Facebook, whatever?
Yeah, I'm on social media, Andre Walace, and you can go to my website, andrewallace.com. And what I left out is that you need to vote for me on the 25th, Tuesday, and vote for my colleagues also on the 25th, Tuesday, to make sure that you get the information and the facts, because we're real people with real ideas, with real platforms that know how to make things happen, that understand business. I'm not only a business owner myself that's successful, so is Joyce and so is Danielle. These are business-minded people. Let me tell you, we all know, all three of us here, that if we ran any of our business the way they run this city, we'll all be bankrupt. We'd be living under the 3rd Street
If you was in
Bridge.
a corporation, you'd been fired. You'd been fired.
Absolutely. So it is important that everybody comes out and vote for us. Because you want to turn the city around. A better tomorrow starts with the voters, and they get to say, we understand that they are our bosses, and they're putting us in a position to do something that's phenomenal, that's able to serve them and make sure that we do a great job. So the right choice is what it's about. And so come out and vote for the Brown Walace Scholar team, and make sure you come out though.
I want to thank you. I want to thank all my guests for coming today. This is the last of the mayoral candidates. This is the last of all the candidates that have coming on the show. Again, we've extended the invitation to the current mayor, who did not accept, and Clyde Isley canceled on us.
And I do.
And
have
then
to
when you
just say
and
one
you
more.
had a chance to hear Sean Patterson Howard. Now you had a chance to hear Andre Walace. I can't tell you who to vote for. All I can tell you that it is very, very, very important that you do vote in this election. Mount Vernon is a city in crisis right now. We can't afford, just like it's going to be very important to vote in the 2020 presidential election. The country can't take another 4 years of that, and the city can't take another 4 years of what we got now. So everyone needs to come out and vote. Vote for who you think is the best. We're going to share all the videos, and hopefully you'll watch them closely. We'll let you know when the debates are. Hopefully you'll pay attention to the remaining of the debates, and you make an informed decision on Tuesday, in 9 days, Tuesday, June 25th. But it is essential, especially in the city of Mount Vernon, but everywhere who can hear me, that you vote Tuesday, June 25th. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You didn't tell you didn't say your position. They said their position on the ballot.
Vote 8A.
Okay.
For Andre Walace.
11A for Joyce Brown.
12A for Danielle Scala.
Okay.
As Team Walace. And also I just want to make a shout out and thank Ernie, former Mayor Davis, for the endorsement and for realizing that we are a good choice and for candidate, because he's 16 years in office. He knows what it's all about, so he knows what needs to be done, and he knows that we don't have any time for a learning curve, and I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Well, I want to thank everybody.
You, Mayor.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You could be doing anything else right now, but you decided to ride with us. This has been the end of the candidate interviews for the 2019 Democratic primary. Again, I can't state enough the importance of you going out and voting and making an informed decision. Like I said, we have interviewed several of the candidates. There's debates coming up. Charles Stern interviewed a couple of the candidates. Make sure that you go out and do you are responsible for the government that you get. If you want better, you have to get involved.
That's right.
You have to vote, and you have to make informed decisions. So let's stop voting for people because that's my boy or that's my girl or we went back in high school together or any of those reasons. I'm cool with a lot of the candidates, but I'm not voting for a lot of them. You have to make the decision If you want change, you have to be the change. Obama said we have to be the change we want. You have to be the change. So make an informed decision on Tuesday, June 25th. Tune in next week. We'll have Bob Marone, maybe Dan Murphy, Hezi Aris, and Charles Stern, and we'll be discussing all the races in Westchester County 2 days before the election. Again, you could be doing anything else right now, but you decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. This is BlackWestchester.com, presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, 6 to 8 on InTheMixRadio.com, giving you that real talk for the community since 2014. Until next week, peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.